Hello, it's your local, yet to have a formal debut VTuber, Friday Mamizu here. Today, I would like to go astray from my usual niche to discuss something that's been overlooked for quite a while in the fandom community. For most people on the English-speaking side of the internet, the Asian fandom sphere is still a rather unknown realm of existence that not many dare to set foot in. In this little piece of documentary, I'll try to help you guys get some new knowledge so that you won't get caught up in the heat of numerous arguments that could spark from ignorance. A little disclaimer. This is not an educational video and is made purely for fun. For starters, we gotta understand what the Asian fandom etiquette is all about. Respect and mind your own business is the golden rule of thumb here. Mind your own business will usually extend to do not interfere with other people's stuff if it doesn't harm anyone, in quotes. For this reason, Asian fandoms are way more lenient than their Western equivalents when it comes to media consumption. Japanese authors have been creating works that could be hauntingly beautiful and disturbing at the same time due to their subject matter without any censorship coming from the audience. Because content creation has always been about, creativity. And creativity is creativity itself, and there is no good or bad in it, just like knowledge. On the English-speaking side, however, things tend to be more black and white, and it is not rare to see people who are dubbed social justice warriors or okimochi yakuza making a fuss out of fan-made products for 2D characters. Which brings us to the subject of today's video, Alice Oseman, content creator, author of Heartstopper, comic writer. Alice Oseman's Heartstopper has received a great amount of attention in the Western world. However, things aren't that positive in Asian fandoms. Well, one might ask the question, why is that the case? The person in question talks about BL as the following. Yep, no explicit sex in this comic. The characters are teenagers, so it's just not appropriate, and even if they weren't, I'd have no interest in drawing that. I wouldn't describe this comic as yaoi or even BL. They're genres of comic that tend to fetishize and eroticize queer men in a really bad way. This comic is just a romance between two boys and a coming-of-age story. This was an answer posted on Tapas in 2017 by Alice Oseman herself. With her statement, Alice Oseman had violated one of the key rules in the Asian fandom sphere. Mind your own business and be respectful. She disrespected the people who could very well be regarded as those that paved the way for gay media, BL comics in this case, to be widely accepted as of now. Were it not for the works of Ogawa Chise, Gusari, Ichikawa Kei, Ogeretsu Tanaka, Harada, or Gengoro Tagame, and many more, Heartstopper might not even exist in the first place. Had it not been for the Japanese BL mangas to take off and become popularized, the queer youth of the early 21st century might not feel as comfortable expressing their sexualities due to them not knowing if they would be accepted. The popularity of BL manga have helped people who were unfamiliar with the concept, or sometimes even propagated into homophobia by the society they live in, accept queerness more easily, and thus, had it not been for Japanese BL comics, many artists right now might still be afraid of expressing their stories. So, it is only natural that Alice Oseman's holier-than-thou attitude took her reputation down in the Asian fandom community, and thus she was rejected by the people who would have been willing to support her, had she not put the people who cleared her way down. In the eyes of many, she was ungrateful, a characteristic that was very unacceptable. Shaming people's contents to put you in a higher position, especially when they were the one who had a hand in making your contents more accessible and accepted in society is, well, of course, heavily frowned upon. People with behavior similar to Alice's are, well, I've seen people using the term American yakuza lately, but the full term that was used in the original Japanese note was American okimochi yakuza, to which I prefer the translation The American Thought Police. These terms define similar concepts, as in George Orwell's dystopian novel 1984, the thought police, or thinkpo, are the secret police of the superstate of Oceania, who discover and punish thought crime, personal and political thoughts unapproved by Ingsock's regime. The American okimochi yakuza do the same thing practically, since they also discover and punish people who do not follow the same mindset of creating unproblematic queer contents or creating a safe queer haven, as they say, of them. A prime example of this is with the famous Genshin Impact ship, Kailuk or Lukkai, which involves the characters Kaya and Diluc. These two characters have been family tagged by a portion of the Genshin fandom who thought of them as adopted brothers, and thus making shipping them illegal. The term used in the original story was sworn brothers, which, if localized, the meaning should be closer to homies or bros than siblings. In Asian societies, we tend to refer to people who are talking to us with family terms to make them more friendly. For example, in Tagalog, if you're talking to a man who's a few years your senior, you'll refer to them as kuya. Or if you're talking to a woman who's a few years your senior, then you'll refer to them as ate. This is the same in other Southeast Asian communities and cultures as well, from what I've seen. Due to this heavy misunderstanding and the stubbornness of these Western thought police, Kailuk was demonized, and people who shipped them were also labeled pro-shippers. Note: pro-shippers does not mean problematic shippers, but it actually means supporter of shipping, because the pro here, the pro prefix here, is actually used with the same intent as when people use pro-choice or pro-life. Not only that, but the American Thought Police will literally police you on all kinds of content that you consume if they deem it problematic, in quotes. You have a ship that's of an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, then by their standards, you support grooming. You like manga in which the characters openly admit to having sex or being sexually active, then you're fetishizing them and you're harmful to others. To the American okimochi yakuza, your taste in fiction reflects your ideology and beliefs. So, by their logic, if you like a gory manga, then you like to slaughter people. You're a murderer. If you read erotic mangas, then you want to have sex with everyone all the time. Plus, you support all kinds of wrongness. Does that seem unbelievably shallow and nonsensical to you? Because if that doesn't, then please, click away from this video. Seriously, what are you even doing here? What you gotta understand is, fiction is wildly different from real life. If fiction was supposed to be a real replica of our life all the time, then heck, it would be boring as shit. No one would bother to watch Grey's Anatomy or CSI and CIS if everything happens according to real life. Fiction is, most of the time, created as a form of escapism from mundane everyday life, which is why they are fiction. They're not real. Creators shouldn't be pressured to not make a specific kind of content just because a portion of the population finds it problematic. Alice Oseman's mindset is similar to the mindset of many modern artists, including Mariko Tamaki, author of the notorious I Am Not Starfire, as they both aim to have a reflected reality in their fictional works, leading to them being incompetent, to say the least. This is not to put down all authors of Western queer media, as we still have a chunk of good media like Arcane, the animation movie, the Owl House animated series, Song of Achilles, in which I cried after reading it. But if Alice Oseman's work isn't well received in the Asian fandom sphere, how does it affect the series? I've noticed in the many years I've spent going back and forth between the Asian-Western sphere is that Asian fandoms are more generous when it comes to spending for their favorite franchises. For example, the Attack on Titan fandom was famous for the Erwin Smith Legendary Birthday, a 2020 event organized by an avid Erwin fan in Japan. Said fan was said to have celebrated the character's birthday in a host club with an extravagant champagne tower and hot, muscular men dressing up as the Survey Corps members. Or take another example. Back in 2020, when the Hypnosis Microphone series first premiered, its fans were already making the project's name known outside the rap community, with the amount of fan-made contents as well as the outrageous number of CDs bought to cast votes in what was called rap battles between fictional characters. These events might seem a bit too bougie, but it is actually the greatest form of free advertisement a series can get. Another brilliant way for a fandom to thrive is that there are lots of fan-made contents for said fandom. Fan arts, fanfiction, and doujinshis are also means to draw newbies into the fandom, if the fanworks were crafted to their taste. Doujinshis, in particular, should be regarded as one of the pinnacles of fandom communication and solidarity. Many famous BL authors started from drawing and writing doujinshis for their beloved series. For example, Gusari, who now goes by the name Kizu Natsuki, was the author of numerous doujinshis in the Haikyuu fandom. And now, as Kizu Natsuki, they are the author of the wildly successful manga Given. An Asian fandom's dedication for their series is not something one can simply take a look at and ignore. This had been shown in the examples I've mentioned before. It's unsurprising to see Heartstopper not doing well in terms of fandom activities because of the lack of support it has in the Asian fandom community. Sure, you can say that the Western fandom wholeheartedly supports the series by buying the books and all, but does it really though, when an actor for one of the main characters in the series was harassed to come out by, you guessed it, none other than the fans themselves? Is it really fandom solidarity in this situation? So, what is my final takeaway after all of this? Well, just remember to be respectful when you're interacting with anybody, and don't kink shame or harass any artist, because either they will come back at you with the best form of revenge, aka making the most hardcore porn of the exact stuff you tell them to stop making, or you will be on thin ice if they decided that you're a nuisance and just block you as a whole. And don't you dare tell me I'm wrong, because I will be reading porn out of spite on my streams. For people who say I'm a homophobic for criticizing queer content creators, the amount of pussies I've licked outnumbers the amount of grass you've touched. Thank you for coming to my video.